days. There she goes. And the neighbor behind us is cutting his grass, and the neighbor next door is cutting. Everybody's cutting their grass right
I'm
now.
staring at mine that I haven't touched yet, but it's a little colder here still. So
It's 75 here right now.
oh yeah, it's 39 here right now.
Ooh, man,
Yeah.
no thanks. It's so fun. Everybody's. I see 3 people out my window right now cutting their grass. Everybody knows. It's your last chance. You got like an hour or two before it gets dark. All right, let's hit this. Hit a million buttons here. Post. Okay, got that and X. All right, we're good. We are good. Hey, everybody, getting ready to record tonight's, this afternoon, whatever time it is, where we are, show with Brett out in New York. We're going to talk about a trip that's going to be one I can't wait to hear about. So let me get this window set and we'll get going. I don't have my windows lined up. It drives me crazy. All right, here we go. 2, 6, 7, 8. My wife has disappeared to the other side of the house. Do not even hear the tractor anymore. Okay, here she'll buzz right by here in a second because I still see the tall grass. All right, so here we go. Welcome to episode 2678 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. Hope everybody had a great Easter weekend and got to spend some time with friends and family, eat all the deviled eggs. That was my plan, and I'm sure that I had at least one too many because my sister-in-law makes some killer deviled eggs, and I'm sure I had all the strawberry shortcakes that we have. That's kind of always our go-to dessert on Easter, and all the ham. So recovering today. Hopefully, it's podcast day. We record on Monday afternoons and back to the Taco Bell diet. I know it's terrible. I should eat better. But today, forget about all that stuff. We're getting into a new week. We're going to make it awesome. And we do that with a trip report. We take virtual trips to Disney destinations. We're doing that today with our friend Brett up in upstate New York. Brett, thanks for coming on the show with us today. What's up?
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here finally.
I'm glad to have you on the podcast. So how are things this spring in your corner of the world?
We had what we call fake spring about a week ago, where we had about 2 days of it being in the 60s and 70s, and then dropped back down to the 30s. So now it's freezing again. But I am also going to be in Orlando. Unfortunately, not going to Disney World, which is part of the story of my life, which we can get into this weekend. So looking forward to some of that hot weather soon.
Nice. Yeah, that is always kind of the hope that we can get at least, this time of the year, buddy, especially like January, February, March, like just when it's chilly, just get to where it's green and warm and just feel that warmth on our faces when you're from the cold climates. So that's awesome to hear. So let's get into your background here a little bit and hear about how your Disney fandom started. What's your backstory? What gets you listening to a Disney podcast and all that stuff?
Yeah. So growing up, I was just kind of in a Disney family. Like my mom loved Disney films. My dad loved Disney films. I probably started going when I was 2, 3 years old. My grandparents lived down in Orlando. So it was kind of like a regular thing in the summers and spring breaks that I would always go to Disney. It just kind of grew up around it. A lot of sort of my most fondest childhood memories of my family are down at Disney World. And then it sort of, went on into my adult life, as my own little thing that I enjoy. I love those. I have those DVDs of the Disney Treasures. I'm not sure if you remember those. They came in like those metal cases.
Yeah.
I
had them and I can't find them. Like I moved and I misplaced them. I didn't have the whole set, but I had a few of them and they were sweet. I can't find them though.
Oh, they're amazing. And I have them all. And I finally bit the bullet and opened one of them. Because my son, I wanted to show him the Donald Duck, like old Donald Ducks. And I opened one of them and they're amazing. And then I just opened them all and I said, you know what, here we go. so yeah, I kind of grew up just going down there all the time, and it was just pure magic every time I go down there.
So let me ask you this, because actually over in the Clubhouse, our Discord server, we just started a channel last week. It's just called Memory Lane, and it's
Hmm.
people posting pictures from just basically going into like the Google Photos, old pictures, archive pictures from like whenever old trips, like things have gone away. The sorcerers had it, at the studios, the Spectrum Magic parades, or whatever. Just people are posting already pictures from the '90s and the
Yep.
'80s, and so forth. The candle, the birthday cake castle stuff. It's awesome. I just love seeing. It's like looking at people's old photo books. It's amazing. But when you look back at like those memories from growing up, going to the parks as a kid, is there something like a story or a day or something that really sticks out that you just like real nostalgia for you? An attraction, something you miss.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, Epcot was always like my favorite park growing up. I don't know why it was, but I think it was just because it was also my father's. And I remember, I think it was called, I want to say Horizons. Am I thinking of that right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Everybody, and I never got to experience it, but man,
Yeah.
everybody
But
raves
there was a
about
part where
it.
you went through and there were orange groves and it smelled like oranges. And I have this memory of that, just ingrained into my brain. Also, I think I sent you a photo of a sort of split photo of the sword and the stone, and
Mhm.
that was me as a kid on the top with my father, and the bottom one was me doing the same pose with my son who's 4.
That's
Um,
cool.
my father passed away in 2019, so before my son was my son was born, so I never got to go to Disney with my dad and my kid. So that's why this trip was sort of even more special because it was my son's first trip, but we got to recreate that photo, which was pretty awesome.
I love the backstory of that though. That's super cool. That yeah, you got the tradition lives on in that
Exactly.
spot.
They switched it though. You can see in the photo, they at some point the sword and the stone was moved because in the photo when I was younger, which is that photo probably was taken 38 years ago, you see the castle behind it, but
Mhm.
now it's the carousel behind it. So I think they must have just swapped either where you take the photo or where it was. I'm not sure.
Right. But that's cool. What a legacy though. That's pretty sweet that you have that memory and like you can tell the story, to your kid, like, hey, look,
Exactly.
this is why this photo is so important. And I mean, who knows? Your son 20, 25 years later, same thing happens 30 years down the road. Same picture.
Exactly.
I like that. That's awesome. I love that because you're just carrying it on. Super cool. Okay, so let's dive into this trip because I really when you sent the email, like I have an idea for a show. We went on a trip and like the title was something like, took a toddler, 75-year-old, and a wife that's not necessarily into Disney. I was like, all
Correct.
right, let's do this show because you hooked me. Like the title's got me. So before we get into the details and all that stuff, like, okay, so obviously you're celebrating a couple of birthdays, your toddler's third birthday. You're taking your mother's 75th birthday. So two milestones. And I love this.
Correct.
And then the wife that we're kind of, I think, trying to maybe oversell. Like, I don't think she necessarily doesn't like Disney, but maybe it's just maybe not the whole theme park thing, right? Like, just not the standing in lines, all the logistics. So, just tell us about how this came together, because obviously you're the Disney guy, like, who wants to do this.
Hmm.
What's the backstory of the trip, and then let's talk about how it came together.
Yeah, so there's a decent prequel to this trip. My wife and I have been together roughly 13 years now. And 10 years ago, my mother wanted to have her 65th birthday party at Disney World as well. This was only 3 years into dating my future wife. We were not engaged yet. Um, I knew that she lived in Orlando, which in the back of my mind could go one of two ways. That could be that I'm dating someone who loves Disney World or
True.
absolutely despises Disney World.
Right, right. Because I would imagine it's one.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah. It's
yeah.
probably you just
And
probably
we're
know.
in the yeah,
Yeah.
we're in New York. So she grew up in Orlando. So I kind of found out pretty early on in our relationship that she was not into Disney World. To her, it was like going to Great Adventure, which my everything inside of me drops when someone compares Six Flags to Walt Disney World, and that's their experience. And
Yeah, and I have a sound effect for you.
yeah, exactly. I have to be honest, as silly as it is, there was a hot second there where I was like, maybe she's not the one for me. She checks every other box.
No, no,
But
no.
like, but there's this box that like for me is so important, but I also couldn't let her know about sort of my Disney, obsession quite yet. Because I also was like, well, that probably isn't going to go over well. We're only dating for a couple years now. But anyway, I was like, hey, it's my mom's 65th. She's bringing us all to Disney World. Would you like to come? And she was like, of course I would. Like, this is a big moment for me to meet your family. So we went with 10 of our closest relatives, all over the age of 60 years old.
Interesting.
Yes, and it was exactly no children. So that was my wife's first sort of red flag when we got there, and she was like, "So you're all a bunch of adults, like in your 30s and 60s, going to Disney World?" And I was like, "Yes, and we love it." And she's like, "Okay, this is weird, but I'm willing to roll with you guys." And then it sort of all went downhill from there. We stayed at Riverside, I remember, and my mom was having a great time. But what started as one person in a motorized scooter on day one turned into 9 of them in motorized scooters on day 3.
Became a train. Toot, toot.
Became a train. My father was the last holdout, and my father was a super slow man. He was just a slow walker. He was like, nothing happened very fast. But he was like, I don't need one of these. Why would I ever have one of these? But every one of these folks just dropped, and they kept dropping and getting one and getting one. And then my father finally gave in until everyone but myself and my wife were in the scooter. So now we were corralling, a group of scooter people around the park, which drove her crazy. She kept getting hit by them. Like, we were moving unbelievably slow. So that's kind of the prequel. At one point, she just said, "Hey, I got a jet." And her dad met her somewhere in a parking lot. She went to the TTC. She got on a boat. And she said, "I'll see you later." And I really, in my mind, thought I might never see this.
Oh my gosh, this is like a tragic turn at the TTC.
Even though, like, she'd moved in with me. Yeah, she'd moved in with me already. But like, there was a part of me that was like, she might never come back.
Oh my gosh, I could never go through the TTC for the rest of my life. I'd be scarred if that monorail went through. I could never connect to Epcot.
So we eventually got married. From that point till then, I've gone back to Disney World. I've gone back to Orlando, I don't know, 30 times, and every time we never go to Disney, right? We don't even go to Universal. It's just like a thing. We go to like her part of Orlando and see her family. And every time, like, in the back of my head, I'm just like, once we have a kid, this will happen. Once we have a kid, she can't deny this anymore. So that's enough. Yeah. We had a 4-year-old. He's finally old enough. My mom was like, for my 75th, I'd love to have go to Disney World. I made it happen within like a month and a half. Like, pretty meticulously planned. We only went for 3 nights. And that's how the trip started. It was just the 3 of us. I did do the wise thing in I got us 2 rooms because I could have gotten the car room, but I knew that, going in August in the middle of the heat, my wife, who doesn't love Disney World, with my son and my mother all in the same room, just seemed like a recipe for disaster.
Oh, you read that. That's the right call.
Correct. So I used sort of a mixed match of like points, and then I also got the Disney Visa card, not because I needed another credit card, but because my son is obsessed with Darth Vader. Even at 4, he loves Star Wars, and I knew that with that card, you have a really good chance of meeting Darth Vader at Hollywood Studios. So yeah, we stayed at Coronado Springs, and that was sort of the catalyst for this trip to celebrate my mom's 75th.
I love it. So it's a very interesting dynamic here, compared to all the other trip reports we have, because usually it's like, oh man, we, been looking forward to this forever, and everybody in the family is like, go. We've been having the countdown. We've been having, you're trying to like really make this like, okay, here's an occasion where we can get, my wife to go along with this, but your mom's excited about it, celebrate a milestone birthday. Your son's going to get to experience this. You're like in heaven because you're going to get the people you love the most all to the place that you love so much. I mean, I can feel it in your excitement, because there's nothing better than getting to go there with people you love, right? I mean, my wife loves going there, but she doesn't get into the minutia of the planning, and she doesn't listen to podcasts. She doesn't go on vlogs. Like, she just likes, like, what time are we, what time's the flight? Okay, I can pack the bags and we'll go. And she has a good time on the trip. We get home and it's, she's all about the trips. She could care less about all this other stuff. Like, why does it have to be all this other stuff? I love the whole thing. Like you, like everybody that's listening to the show. So as far as like once it came together though, did you kind of just keep her out of the loop until you guys left for the trip, or was there any talk prior? We're just trying to keep her just like, okay, let's keep this thing on the rails by keeping her just out of the loop and all that stuff.
Zero talk. She knew what day we were leaving and what day we were coming back. And that was pretty much it, because I was sort of managing my excitement and also my like fiending for going back to Disney World after not having been there in so long, because if it was up to me, I would have gone every summer, twice a year for the last decade, but I hadn't. Plus, had giving my mother a memorable trip. She really wanted to go with her grandson, making it nice for him. And then the hardest part of this was knowing I knew how brutal this was going to be in August. We went August 15th. I just knew like this was going to be something that my wife would absolutely despise, which was not only being with a bunch of people in Disney, but being in the heat. So I had to I made sure to plan it so that I knew where we would be every step of the way, which I like doing anyway, while also leaving some moments for, adventure and just, to be surprised, because I think that's kind of the beauty of Disney is you can plan everything, but sometimes the best moments are the ones that kind of just find you.
Is your mom like in your town? Like, did you collaborate with your mom though, at least? Because it sounds like your mom's a Disney fan, right? And she wanted to do the trip down there with her grandson and celebrate this here. I mean, did you guys collaborate together on like what the expectations were? Did she just leave it in your hands? Like say, hey, I just want to be there and have fun.
She left it in my hands. She just wanted to go with my grandson. I mean, to be honest, I think she probably almost would have preferred to just go with my grandson and just leave us out of the picture.
Hey, my kid's going, I'm going too, dang it.
Yeah. All she requested, my mom loves taking photographs. So and she's big into photographing the family, and like I have historically talking about photographs of Disney. I probably have 1,000 photos, from Disney World throughout the last 40 years of my life. But no, the only thing she made sure that she wanted to do was she wanted to have at Disney Hollywood Studios one of the private photography sessions where they take your photos.
Nice.
So that was one thing that was pre-planned by her.
Well, that's super because, especially if you don't get to go that often. And when you have loved ones together on a trip like that, it's capture your moment, right? I mean, it is exactly that, right? I mean, grab those memories and have them forever because they don't come around every day. And that is a great thing. So tell us about, okay, so let's get into the stories from the trip. I mean, that's why we're here. So just dive in. What happened? I mean, you guys, you stayed at Coronado. So how did that work out?
Yeah, we flew in. I sort of made the decision from the top that we were going to rent a car just because, I have a 4-year-old. We're bringing a stroller. I knew that we were staying at Coronado, which means we only had bus transportation. That was, again, sort of thinking ahead and thinking of my wife after a full day of Disney having to get on the bus with all of us. I was like, let's just drive. We can get in, we can get out. It's going to be great. There's air conditioning. So that was cool. When we got to MCO, it was a little hectic. I don't think I've ever sweat as much as trying to fight for the right size vehicle. And then putting the car seat into said vehicle. It was intense. It was like a football match.
I don't miss those days. I mean, trust me, 17-year-old girls are no walk in the park either. Totally different set of circumstances, but yeah, fight the car seats. Glad that.
Yeah, August 15th, humidity in Florida. It was brutal. It was brutal. So yeah, we finally got there. I'd done everything on my phone, so I had my room. I was like, we were in the casitas right by the. I didn't care where we were. I just wanted to be in the casitas, so we were close enough to walk to dinner and all that stuff. But we were actually right by the parking lot, which was great. But we did have a 6:30 reservation at Paddlefish. I used mouse dining because since I was so late in the game, I had to figure out ways to have meals planned. Since I only booked this about a month and a half before we left. So mouse dining got me into a few places. I was sort of on the fence between Paddlefish for my mom's dinner that night, which our family was coming to. So that was like a 12-person dinner. But we got to the room and, I went to tap the doors and it didn't work. It just didn't work.
That's happened to me too. And that's the worst feeling in the world. Just and I hit it 28 times, like the 27th time is going to matter. You know what?
It didn't work. Yeah, it just wasn't happening. And it was hot. And it was the first, I looked at my wife and it was the first thing I was like, oh no. I was like, we gotta fix this and we gotta fix it quick. So I got on the phone with them. It did take them 25 minutes to get to us, to be honest with you. So that kind of put us back a little bit, but we eventually got to Paddlefish. We had a really nice meal there at Disney Springs. And that first night was that was it. We walked around Disney Springs. We had a nice meal at Paddlefish. We went back. I knew, I didn't tell anybody what time we were waking up the next morning until the night before we went to bed, just because I knew everyone would think that I'm out of my mind,
Smart man. Oh, real quick. We never talk about paddle fishing. I'm super curious about that
Yeah,
restaurant because I've never been there, and it never comes up here. It looks cool at Disney Springs, right? I mean, it's on the boat, and it's got the
yeah,
history of the Empress Lily, from back in the day. I
yeah.
mean, would you go there again? Did you like it?
I would. The food was good. The service was okay. It was a little hectic. Like it's a really big restaurant. For large groups though, I would say it's a decent choice in Disney Springs. We didn't have very many options, surprisingly. And I didn't want to put everyone at a resort restaurant just because everyone was coming from so many different areas. It was just
Right.
easy to meet at
Make it
Disney
easy to
Springs.
get in.
It
Yeah.
made it easy to get in and get out. But yeah, we had a good meal. Like especially if you like fish, like it was good food. I was happy with it. They gave her a good birthday dinner.
Speaking of family that's trouble, my family won't eat seafood, so that's why I've never seen it. I get my seafood on cruises, like when everything's
Right.
included, and it's like, hey, or all the seafood you can get on this cruise because we're not going to a seafood restaurant otherwise.
Exactly.
Oh, so okay, so you didn't tell people you're getting up anybody the next morning, but I mean,
Nope.
get up with like a cowbell, or I mean, how'd you startle everybody and get them rolling?
If I was traveling alone, I would have been up at 5 a.m. I would have gone, got my Mickey waffles. I would have leisurely strolled around the property.
You need to come down and run a race with me or something. Let's go.
And then I would have, been there for like right behind rope drop, not the first people, but like kind of like tail end. But I had us wake up relatively early. My kid wakes up pretty early anyway. So we woke up at like 6:30 a.m. The first day was going to be Magic Kingdom because in my mind that just had to be the first day. I did pre-plan. I got all of us lightning passes. I got all of us lightning passes, single lightning lanes. And this was the first week that actually I think started was when I was able to book it. It was right around I guess the end of July, 2025, 2024. So I had everything set. For breakfast though, and this was my one fault is that I think I was so excited. I was like, we'll get there and we'll eat. And that was a bad decision. Don't ever bring a wife that doesn't love Disney World to her first day at Magic Kingdom with a 4-year-old and not feed them beforehand. It's a bad idea.
You know what though, Brett? It's tricky because with the Magic Kingdom, like it's either or, right? I mean, you can either rope drop and do a ton of attractions, like ride it, beat the crowds, or you can get a breakfast. What I found is the best way to do it, and this is kind of like my hack that I've said a few times, is schedule like a character breakfast on the monorail loop, like at Ohana or Chef Mickey's or something like that for like 10:30, like late, and have a Pop-Tart out the door or something, something that's going to carry you for like 2.5 hours, nothing big that'll spoil the bigger late breakfast, but something that'll sustain you for like 2.5 power hours of rope dropping, some good stuff in the Magic Kingdom, and then boom, bounce out at like 10:30 over to Polynesian or Contemporary or wherever, and go have a substantial like character breakfast. That's kind of the way I've gone about it, because you're right. If you go in there and try to rope drop and you're like, yeah, I'll catch something, you'll find yourself like, oh, just do one more attraction. All of a sudden it's like 10:30 and you haven't eaten anything, and you're just like, everybody's hangry, everybody's mad, and things go downhill quickly. I've been
Exactly.
100 times.
The hangry happened really quick, a lot quicker than I actually expected it to. I knew it was going to come. I just didn't expect it to come like the second we walked into the happiest place on earth. So yeah, we got to Magic Kingdom. We took some photos outside. I gave my son, it was his first time there, so I was super excited. I didn't sleep that night. I woke up at like 3 a.m. and I was just lying in our Coronado Springs room, which was beautiful, by the way. I love that resort. I think I'm on Team Coronado Springs for sure.
Nice.
So yeah, we got there finally. I had a bunch of lightning lanes and all the good stuff booked. But then once we walked in, I saw that there was no line to meet Mickey as the first thing right there. And I was like, well, what a better way for my kid to start, Disney than meeting Mickey. Now, even if there's no line, that thing actually does take quite a little bit of time. Yep. So by the time we finally got through meeting Mickey, it was like a half hour later. And that's when I sort of started, seeing the changes happen within my family. But son, I was fine. I could have gone 6 more hours without eating anything. But then you're on Main Street and you're like, well, what do we eat for breakfast? And there actually aren't a lot of breakfast options.
Plus too, I'm a protein guy. Like I have to have protein. Like, I mean, you can get like a cinnamon roll or something at the bakery, or, at the Starbucks and stuff. but like I gotta have something with protein, and that is really challenging in the Magic Kingdom. Like there's something back in Frontierland on one of the carts.
Yep.
A few places, but I mean, you gotta hunt for protein,
especially at 8 a.m. And I had designed this day. It was the first, I believe, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween night. So I knew that it would probably be a lot less crowded, but we'd have to get out of there by like 5, 6 o'clock. So we had to pack so much in to like the Magic Kingdom, which was such an important park in my mind for my son,
right.
and you know, my mother. So I knew that we had to like go fast. We had to like move while still enjoying this. And then we were like, I was like, okay, honey. I was like, let's get some food. Like, it's all good. We'll figure this out. Then I was like, frantically, I was like, Starbucks, that doesn't feel very special. So then I used, you know, the online ordering, and I was like, oh, Friar's Nook. And like, right as I took it out, one of the capture moment folks were like, would you guys like a family photo and you know, with a long distance shot of?
You're like, heck yeah, right?
I'm like, yeah. My mom is like, yes, of course. And my wife is just like, at that point, like, oh my God, I'm ready to turn around. And yeah, and I don't want to make it so bad about her, but like, she knows about this. I was like, I'm gonna tell it how it is. She's like, you tell it how it is.
No, I mean, I get it. If you're hungry, you're hungry. I mean, people, Scott, everybody's ever traveled with me. When I get hangry, dude, I am the meanest guy. And I don't care if I'm the Magic Kingdom or not. I could be in, like in the Cinderella suite. I'm angry. Yeah. Look out.
So she wanted to, you know, she went obviously because she's part of our family, but she understands seeing my son's joy at seeing these things for the first time. And that is, you know, that's the reason why she's there. She's not there for my 42-year-old obsession with feeling great at Disney World. You know, that's not why we're here. So we finally ordered my online ordered Friar's Nook breakfast, which was, you know, it was good. It was very the best word to describe it is heavy and hot. And eating in the Florida sun breakfast in August when it's heavy and hot isn't the greatest experience. Like, we had hot coffee because they didn't have iced coffee. We had hot tater tots. We had hot breakfast sandwiches.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Now let's go get on the teacups.
So we had breakfast then, and like everybody was feeling good. My wife gave the, you know, the general, I'm so sorry for the last 20 minutes of your life. And I go, don't worry, honey.
My life. I'm sorry, I was angry. Pam, I'm so sorry.
And I'm like, it's totally fine. We're in Disney. Look at us, you know? Yeah, so then I wanted his first ride to be Small World. I just thought it was a good introduction to like going on a dark ride. Like he's only ever been on one dark ride when he was like 2.5 at Legoland, and it scared the living daylights out of him. So I was a little concerned, but no, Small World was like the perfect first ride to go on, and it went really well. And then, I mean, look, I listed the rides that we managed to do before 6 p.m. that day, and we did Small World, Jungle Cruise, People Mover, Monsters Inc., Laugh Factory, which I tried so desperately to get on the camera for him.
You are so spirited, and you wanted to be there so bad. Please tell me they picked you to be that guy, because you needed to be that guy, man. This is your trip.
I know, right? Didn't happen. Me and my wife went on Tron. He met all the Disney characters with my mom. We went to Tiki Room. We brought him on Pirates, which I thought was going to really scare him, and he came off loving it, which was awesome. I was like, great. I was like, he's in it now.
Yeah, Pirates and Haunted Mansion is weird because like sometimes they won't be scared of him like when they're kind of that age, but then you take them on him like when they're 7 and it'll freak them out. You know, like it's like a weird continuum with those two rides.
I prepped them a little bit by you know, the Disney golden books, those little golden books that are for kids. Well, they make all Disney theme park ones. They make ones for every single ride, and they have a little story. So I sort of prepped him pretty well by reading those. Yeah, a couple months before, so he like knew what was going on. We had lunch at the Crystal Palace, which I made a reservation for.
Nice.
Which was actually awesome. I remember the previous trip a decade ago, we had a lunch there with, you know, the 10 people in buggies, and it was not a great experience, but it was more so the people we were with, because me and my mom were like, "Pooh, hug," and everyone's like, just like, "What are you guys are crazy." But no, this was great. It really wasn't that crowded. It was so nice because it was air conditioned in there. My son loved the buffet. We got to see the characters, all of them, I mean, twice probably by the time we were done. The servers in there are incredible. They're just so animated and just lovely people. So we had a nice dinner there. I mean, lunch. Then we went to Ranger Spin. At that point, I think I sent you that photo. My kid had a lollipop and passed out in his his stroller, So my mom kind of just walked around Disney World where she was in heaven, and I got to use my Tiana's what's it called? Not lightning lane, but
Virtual queue back
virtual
then.
queue.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did a virtual queue for that. What I didn't realize though was that the virtual queue meant you still had to wait on a really long line.
Yep.
And this was the only time that I almost folded the cards. By this time, like I had my wife hopped up on enough candy and enough, sodas and all this stuff that she was good. But we got on that line and we had no water because it was just my wife and me at the time. And that line is really hot when it's 55 minutes long. And in the middle of it, I almost said to her, I said, I don't know if I can do this. And she was like, are you really going to back out now? And I was like, oh, now that you've said that, I have to do this. And
Ricky passed out in that line because she dehydrated one time.
Yeah, no,
I don't know. I think it was back in the Splash Mountain days, but I think, or maybe it was beyond. I don't know, but she passed out in that line one time because she was so thirsty.
It's no joke, and that was 50 minutes. But I will say, with all the lightning lanes and the virtual queues and everything, and just sort of planning it right, I think that was the longest line we waited on the entire trip. But we never waited on a line more than 15 minutes, I think, which was wonderful for these purposes.
Yeah.
So we did that. We did Space Mountain. We did Winnie the Pooh. We did Seven Dwarfs. We did Big Thunder Mountain. We did Under the Sea, and then my son wanted to do the Tomorrowland Speedway so badly because he's just obsessed with cars, and it was the one that I was like, oh, like I remember that from a kid, and I remember almost like suffocating to death from exhaust fumes.
But it's like a rite of passage, though. Like you got to ride that with your kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, gotta let him like steer. And you got
it was great, and he like got that smell, and we both coughed and laughed at each other, and it was like that one was like a really wonderful experience.
Right.
And then sort of because we had to leave so early because they had the the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party, and I knew not to overdo it and also buy tickets for that because I knew that I probably wouldn't have a family if I made them go to the
good call. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to fly too close to the sun, like exactly.
But the same, we sort of had an opposite side of the day hangry attack where I was like, okay, didn't really plan dinner. I don't think we make it back to the hotel. I was like, reservation at Tony's, and I've never done Tony's. I've never thought about doing Tony's. Doing Tony's in the hour when it switches over to Not So Scary Halloween Party is not a great idea. I don't suggest it.
So I was wondering because I mean, did you not have like guests coming in costume like as part of the entertainment? I mean, because I would imagine that happened, right?
It was so hot that lobby was just so overwhelmed with people.
That lobby is okay. You're right. That lobby's a nut house waiting to get in.
They were strewn on the floor. It was like it looked like Port Authority Terminal in New York City. I didn't feel like Disney World.
That's a good way to describe it. I've been in there when it's been like that. It's just like a refugee camp in that place.
And we were part of that. Like they were running like 30 minutes behind on our reservation. My wife had like a little tiny like cone cup of water that they gave her. Yes. She's on the floor, ready to pass out. It was, but once we sat down, the food was great, and like we actually had a really great time at Tony's. It's like it was I think any other time I would go back there. My son's seen Lady and the Tramp, so he understood it, enough to enjoy it. So yeah, that was that day. We went back. We passed out almost, right away because I knew that we'd be up very early the next morning for Disney Hollywood Studios.
Nice.
The next morning I was much smarter. We ate at Mercado. We had Disney waffles. I gave my son, the whole rundown of the waffles and what to eat at places like this, and he was super happy. And then it started to get hotter that day, and I'm talking like I think it was in the high 90s, which Hollywood Studios in the high 90s is it's hot. It's hot.
A lot of blackout. Yeah.
It's hot. So, my wife, and this is all part of the story. This morning she started, it wasn't even like a hangry, but she started to actually just not feel that well. And she thought maybe she just had sun poisoning. She was like, it was so brutal the day before, like we were in it. And I was like, well, today, like, a lot of stuff is indoors there. Not really. But like we're doing things that are indoors, except for Toy Story Land, where you just fry like a piece of bacon.
Nothing about that. We will not talk about Toy Story Land.
So we got in, and I have like really great memories of when it was called MGM Studios. Like I do miss sort of the interaction with folks. I have so many photos of me, like, going to those old timey photo booths where they put hats on you and like things of that, you know, things like that. And I miss that about it, but it still had that feeling, like I walked in there and I was like, oh, this is like a pretty cool place. Like my kid's going to grow up liking this one. We did Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway as the first one. We got right on. I thought that ride was incredible. I have a soft spot for the movie ride, of course. I mean, I'm wearing a Gremlins hat.
Right. I love that hat, by the way. That hat's amazing. I keep my eyes off it. That's sweet.
Yeah. But I have to say, like, this ride, like, it kind of blew me away. It was perfect. I think it was the perfect Disney ride, that ride. And then was time for Launch Bay. I knew that I wanted to get there in time for my son to see Darth Vader. He brought his Darth Vader mask in. We met BB-8 first, which was awesome, and then I used my Disney Visa card. You get right in, but you don't know who it's going to be. And I was like, please let it be Darth. Please let it be Darth. And then we heard, oh my God, it's Darth. We were like number 6 in line. And I don't know if have you ever done this meet and greet with Darth Vader?
So I did it way back in the day, and I did it Disneyland with my Disney Visa just this past February or January race. Bam, right in. Nobody, because it's in Tomorrowland out at Disneyland, and hardly anybody even knows it's there. It's scary.
Yeah, and this is this might be a warehouse in an industrial part of some town, like the Launch Bay. Like it's just desolate there. But it was, there were waits for others, but he needed to meet Darth Vader. So he had his mask on. We're there, we're 5th in line, and Darth comes out to greet you and then says, come with me. And the second he came out, he was towering. And there were like 4 couples in front of us. And my kid went from loving Darth Vader to absolutely fearing Darth Vader.
Absolutely. I mean, he's the baddest mamma jam in the universe. And you can
the realization of how big he was and how scary he was, he just started screaming and crying and was like, no, Daddy, I don't want to meet Darth Vader anymore.
Cancel that Disney Visa, Dad. Cancel the Disney Visa right now.
Yeah, but then me and my wife looked at each other and we were like, I mean, we still got to bring him in, right? And she was like, of course.
That's like my dad when he put me on the Screaming Eagle when I was like 4, which was the fastest roller coaster in the world. My dad, I'm still scarred. I'm 51.
So I think I sent you those photos, but we went in and all of the photos are, if you zoom in on his eyes inside his Darth Vader mask, you can just see terror and tears.
Darth said to people.
Yeah, there is nothing enjoyable. The people taking the photo even were like, are you guys sure you want to do this? And me and my wife were like, yes, just take the photo. This is going to be great, please. So that was a great experience for us, not so much for him. We've since
it's part of the parent deal. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he still loves Darth Vader, but I think he realizes that the Lego Darth Vader is a lot different than
exactly
than Big Daddy Darth Vader.
Person like that big.
Right. So after that, we did Lightning McQueen, his other favorite thing, which was a really cool one. He loved that. Then it was like, by that time it was about noon, and it was blazing hot, like so hot. And I had a reservation at is it the Roundup Rodeo, the barbecue spot?
And I still haven't been there yet. I got to get in there.
Yeah, so this, and my wife has given me permission to tell this story. But so at this point, my wife was like, I mean, it was if she's walked through the desert, right? Like and my wife, I'm not the most fit person. She's an athlete. Like she's a former dancer from FSU. Like she ran the New York City Marathon this year. Like,
okay, yeah. Because I run marathons. People are like, you should run New York City. I'm like, dude, I heard there's a lot of hills. I don't even want to mess with that one.
Yeah, her first marathon ever. She ran the New York City Marathon. It was her first one ever.
I'm not. No thanks.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's incredible. But like she was like, it was starting to take her down. But I also just started to notice that she just wasn't like herself. Like I was like, maybe you do have some poisoning. I was like, I don't know. I was like, well, luckily we have a reservation at the Roundup Rodeo. And she's like, okay, just bring me somewhere inside, like get me to lunch.
Dark air conditioning, please.
Yeah. So she really was not feeling well. Like she was like on the verge of needing to like go to a bathroom, not feeling well. And they call us for our reservation. I don't know, you've never been there, but the first thing that they do when you walk into the Roundup Rodeo is they give you one of those fake little horsies and they ask if you would like to ride it to your table.
See, I'd be all about that. I mean, if I was feeling okay. Now, if I wasn't feeling great, probably
my mother, me, and my child went, yeah. And my wife was like, oh my God. So the next thing you know, she's like sickly, just looking at me as we're bouncing on these horses.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big ask if you're not feeling good.
Yeah, go into our table. We sit down. That restaurant's incredible, but they put this like massive bowl of meats in front of you, right?
Yes.
And the second the massive bowl of meats went in front of my wife, she said, I have to go.
Yeah.
And she went to the bathroom, and, apparently there were, multiple people that helped her out in there. She did what she had to do.
Yep.
She came back and was like, okay, I'm feeling better now.
Yeah.
I was like, great, honey. She's like, but never take me to this place again. I don't ever want to go to this barbecue restaurant.
Yeah, I know. I understand.
You
we get it. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
very up in your face, but for a kid, it's incredible. Like, you have to freeze when you eat. So much fun. So after that, I was like, okay. I was like, we got to try to take it easy. But I was like, we have to get to Galaxy's Edge. I was like, this might be a shorter day, but like, we have plans. Like, I have to ride Rise of the Resistance. Like, that's like on my list. Like, have to do it. And we had droid reservations for my son. Have you done the droid thing?
I have not. I mean, I've been in there, but remember, I'm kind of cheap. I want to make a lightsaber, but they're too expensive. And
yeah,
I've got
tried to be back
and
Disney
all
World
that
again.
droids and all that. I've just never made one.
Yeah, I went for it because we were there for 3 days, and I wasn't sure if I'd ever be allowed to come back to
Disney
World.
I hear you. I would 100% if I was in your shoes, I'd make a droid. It's just that I spend too much money on races and stuff like that. I'm just like, what would I
was like, as long as I get paid the mortgage next month.
Exactly. No, I should. And then I go outside and I see am I playing with them and like rolling them around like out in Galaxy's Edge. I'm like, dude, I need one of those droids. But then I'm like, if I come home, my wife will kill me. Because I mean, it's like Pam would be like, dude, where are you gonna put that thing? And why did you need a droid? I'm like, dude, do I need any of this stuff? No.
Do you know? But I mean, that experience was incredible for anyone of any age. Just putting it together. The droids are actually much smarter than you think they are. We have them at home. We play with them all the time. Like it's well worth it. It's not some dinky, little droid that you would find in a toy store. Like it's a pretty real deal. And we mailed it home. I was like, take it. I was like, that's it. Thank you so much. See you at home. And then, we went to Oga's Cantina where we had a reservation for with my son, but oddly they gave us all seats at the bar. Which it's all kind of a bar, but we were actually at the bar. So, my son was like, yay, hi to the, like, couldn't even see over it. So he started to lose it then because he also was really hungry. And I was like, I can get you blue gooey mush or green gooey mush or, but me and my wife had a few drinks there. We had a great time. He eventually really loved it once
that place is nails. Like as far as if you're a Star Wars geek, I mean, there's, I've been there a couple times and I mean, just the atmosphere of that place is so cool. But I mean, there's not a whole lot to do in there, but just take it in and have a drink.
Oh, yeah, it transports you there perfectly. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then we did the photo shoot, which I also have to say, like, it's a rather pricey thing, but I think if you're looking for something special to make those memories, like, it is worth it. They take you, especially in Galaxy's Edge, like they really get you in front of the Millennium Falcon. They put you in places that other people don't go. And we had a really great time in the heat taking those photos, but they came out they came out beautiful. And I'm so happy we have them. I know my mother is like really happy that we did that. She got, 150 plus professional photos taken with her grandson in front of the Millennium Falcon. It's pretty cool.
Did they Photoshop all that? Did they Photoshop all the sweat out like in post?
There was no photoshopping that out. We were drenched, like just drenched.
I mean, apparently Batu is a hot planet. That's just what I
yes. It was so hot that day, man. I can't I can withstand some heat, but like this was otherworldly.
No, I mean, we always vacation in July, so I've been
rolled in August. So yeah, we did Toy Story Mini was down. We did the Alien Swirling Saucers. I had a reservation at the Sci-Fi restaurant, but at about 4:30 p.m., I realized my family was pretty much done, and then I couldn't push it anymore. I could have kept going. So we called,
which is ironic though, because that is a dark, cool place. But you're right. I mean, you'd have been again pushing it a little bit too far.
Yeah. So we went back to the hotel. At that point, my wife was in really bad shape. Like she started to lose her voice. It was clear now that like she was just sick with something. Like it was no longer. So then I kind of had that moment of like, well, do I need to call a doctor? Like, can I just go down and get a $500 NyQuil? From the gift shop, like, what are we looking at here? So she was like, just get me some meds. She was like, I'm sorry. She's like, you go out to dinner with your mom and Leo, my son. And so we did. She rested. We went to Maya Grill, which was awesome. That restaurant has great food.
That's my favorite. There you go. I'm saying
Oh
right
man,
there. Oh yeah.
oh man, like it was so tasty. The cocktails, everything about it. Like it was just I was really surprised by how good that restaurant was. So yeah, we had dinner there. Another good night. You know, my wife was a trooper. She was not feeling well. She was sick, and she knew that we had one more day in Epcot. And she also kind of knew in the back of her head that this was like my park. Like this was the park that I love. Um, so we woke up. I had this plan in my head because I remember eating at Garden Grill with my father and my family, and I love Garden Grill into Living with the Land combo. Like that to me is like the perfect breakfast into ride combo
Dude, I gotta meet you down there someday because
that ever was, right?
you're exactly right. That is perfect. It's an
It
old
is.
Epcot right there. Yeah.
Yeah, we did it. We had like a 9 a.m. So we got to the park a little bit early. Spaceship Earth was a walk on, so I was like, well, we're going that way. I was like, let's just go to Spaceship Earth. My kid loved that ride.
But real quick, Brett, I love you because man, anything shiny, you're like
100%.
you're like that dog, like squirrel.
But it's done with ease. Like, you know, like
Yeah.
my family wouldn't have known whether that was planned or not. I was like, yeah, Spaceship Earth. And then we walk right on.
I
All I
love
knew
it.
was that
I love it.
all I knew was no lines. And I did this trip where we never waited on a single line except for that one.
That's great.
Like there were, so I planned it perfectly in that sense. So yeah, we ate at Garden Grill. That was what an awesome experience, especially with my son. You know, the moving restaurant, the food was good. Like that's a big plate of food that we all like, you know, really loved. Like Mickey waffles, you know, bacon, hash
Yeah,
browns,
what's
everything.
not to like? I mean, it's pretty straightforward stuff. Yeah.
It's awesome. It's perfect. And then, you know, old school characters like you're meeting Chip and Dale and Mickey, and they all came out. It wasn't very crowded, so we got to see all of them. Then I was, you know, I was like living with the land. I was like, no better way to sort of, you know, wind down from that meal than that. And yeah, we all really loved that ride. We went over to Ratatouille afterwards, which was really crazy. I didn't expect that ride to be so cool. I really liked it. My son was a little iffy on that one because of the glasses. So he like was like, I'm taking them off. I don't want them. And I was like, it's gonna look weird. And he was like, okay. And then he's like, why is everything double? I'm like, because of the glasses. And he didn't. The concept was just, you know, it was over him. So he wasn't really about that ride. My wife at this point was in like, she was in the mode of like, I just need to get through this day. So her answer to that was when we were in the France Pavilion, we should probably have champagne at 10 a.m. And I was like, okay, whatever you got to do.
I'd have been like, let's go. I mean, yeah, it's vacation.
So we had like a little flight of champagne in France at 10 a.m., which was awesome. We went to Figment, which I again one of my favorite rides, obviously being a child of the 80s and the 90s, and having gone to Disney so much during them. My son really loved that ride. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't quite work anymore. It clearly needs a little refurb, but he now loves Figment, which makes me happy. We did Frozen Ever After. We had milkshakes when it got really hot again at Connections, which were really good milkshakes. I forget what kind, but if anyone ever wants like a really cool frozen milkshake,
Never had a milkshake there. See, that's why I love these shows. You learn something every Monday because I've never had I always get the bomb Kuchkin now over there. That's my
great milkshakes. So that's a hot tip. And then we went on Guardians of the Galaxy, me and my wife, and that I think is the greatest ride in this galaxy. The only tip that my wife brought with us to Disney World, like we were on our little tiny 10 minutes of line, and she got there and she was like, my friend said to ask for row 9. I was like, where did
wait, hold on. Your wife pulls out a row 9 tip like after all the like
we're about to get to like the front of it. And I was like, what do you? I was like, I don't even know that one. I was
That's like a
black
diamond tip that she pulls out of the back pocket on day 3.
She's like, just trust me. I have a friend, and they said to go to row 9. I'm like,
what other tips have you been holding back all these other 2 days? That's what I was saying.
So we did, and row 9, apparently is the best row because you get flung around in the beginning, and like you don't know what the hell's happening. And that ride like blew my mind. It was amazing. She got off it. She looked like she had run the marathon after that one. She was just such a trooper, my wife. Like she pushed through 3 days of Disney being very sick. I eventually got what she got a few days later, and I couldn't imagine doing anything but lying in my bed watching old movies, but she was in 100-degree Disney World. So yeah, we did that. We did the Seas and Moana Journey of Water, which is a great respite from the heat. My son was soaked, except he kept drinking it, and I kept saying, "No, no, no, we don't drink this water. Please don't drink this water."
It'll make your immune system stronger.
Then I'm like, you know what? We're from New York. Like, he'll be fine.
Exactly. That's what I say about the Missouri. Our water comes from Missouri River that's 2 miles away. Whatever.
He'll be okay. And then I sort of made a random decision, and I was like, everyone was getting hangry. I didn't really have a plan, and I was like, I don't know why. I was like, people never really say to go to the Coral Reef restaurant, and I don't know why, and I'd never been there. And I was like,
perfect. Already, nostalgia.
Yeah. We were already right next to the Seas because we were going to go to Nemo next. And I was like, no, you know what? Let's have lunch. I was like, let's go here. And it was incredible. Like, I don't know why that place isn't packed. I mean, we got sat right next to like an aquarium. There were people swimming there, waving at my son. There were sharks going by. Like, there is no cooler way to sort of experience that. A few awkward conversations when we ate fish while next to fish.
I know it's the craziest thing. Like, I'm probably eating your cousin, but it's okay. It tastes good.
Correct. They have a really good espresso martini, which was necessary at that time of day. So another hot tip, very good espresso martini there. Not something I would ever drink in my normal life, but there I was like,
well, I mean, you'd already had a champagne flight at 9:30, 10 o'clock. Yeah.
Happy. So we did Nemo. At that point, my mother had to leave the day early. That was always the plan. We were staying the extra day. I walked her out really quick. She had like a car service come and pick her up at the entrance where the Ubers are. They took her back to the hotel. She got her bag and she went off to the airport. Super easy, like unbelievable quick experience, which went really well. I told my wife at this point, I was like, I know that you have nothing left in you. I was like, I just need you to give me one more thing. And she's like, what? She's like, what is it? And I'm like, I have to go on Grand Fiesta.
See, that's it. I mean, other than like the walk back to Mexico from there, I mean, on a hot day, that's pretty easy ask. And it's
pretty easy
ask. Inside the pavilion, that's a chill place. It's dark. It's cool.
Oh, yeah. So we did that. It was awesome. My son and I both love Donald Duck. We came out. We were just so hot. Sure, her voice was gone. And we actually got something that I've never had before, which was a frozen Coke. And it was so good. Oh, frozen Coke.
Oh, you've never had a frozen Coke?
I've had like ices at like a movie theater, but never like a true just like Coca-Cola that was frozen.
Okay. I mean, that's what I grew up on around here, but there were probably more ices like from Kmart. Exactly.
And man, like I don't drink soda very often. Like I drink seltzer. Like I don't drink Coke or Pepsi these days anymore. But like, man, this thing was good. Like it was about the most refreshing thing that you could possibly have.
Anything frozen at this point, probably from your description, you would have enjoyed.
Then we went back to the hotel that night. My wife again was KO'd. She was like, "I'm not joining you for dinner. You're crazy. Have a great time with your son." So me and my son went back to Maya Grill, and we sort of we did a double dinner. We did some Maya Grill, and then we went to Mercado and had like even more dinner. And yeah, it was great. And then and he's 4, and like he was like he had his little button down shirt that was like popping open now from his little belly being so full. And like the beauty, I think,
dudes.
What I think I loved about that hotel so much was like it's just so walkable. It's so beautiful at night. So like we just had like a great end of the night. Me and my son walking over the 3 bridges, like looking at the water, looking at the animals, talking about like how we're going to go to the arcade tomorrow and things like that. So yeah, then our last day, we woke up. We knew that this was just going to be a chill day. I had called the front desk and I said, "Hey, do you remember when I couldn't get in for like 30 minutes?" And they were like, "Not really." I was like, "Well, that's what happened. I really need a late checkout." And eventually I did my little New York talk and got a very late checkout, like 1 p.m. It was great. So we went to that pool, which was an incredible pool. We spent like 3 hours. My son was just in love with that pool. It's an amazing feature pool. And that was that was the end of our trip. We went on our way back to MCO and then back home.
Man, I love it though. So I mean, I've been laughing the whole time because like you're a great storyteller for one thing, Brett. I love it because like I'm just I mean. And by the way, your wife is the MVP of the trip because
she 100% is
100% because she wanted to give the experience to you. I mean, she loves you obviously because she knows you're the Disney fan. You want this like I see it from the dad perspective, right? Because that's who I am, right? I'm the dad, and I just want I always want my daughters to be happy. I want my wife to be happy. I want everybody to just have the experiences and I want everybody to be happy. But I also, when I go to Disney, that's my thing. And I know that my wife goes because I love it. My kids go, but everybody has a good time. But I mean, great stories, right? And I mean, so you would go all the time if you could. I can tell because you got, you have the core memories from your childhood and growing up. But I mean, did this scratch the itch for you, or did it make it worse, or like, I mean,
way worse, way worse.
you see,
It opened it opened the floodgates because I'm still married, so that's great.
okay, update, yes, okay, good.
Still married. No, it opened the floodgates in a way where I was like, like there was a point in my 30s when I had this realization, and I sort of sat there and I had this like weird realization where I was like, I could go get a whole Entenmann's chocolate cake and eat it right now because I'm an adult.
I can really do whatever I want.
And like there's and like I remember having that moment where I like my brain just sort of switched to being like, oh, like I can do whatever I want. So in my head now, I'm like, well, why have I been sort of hiding this thing? And it's not even that I'm hiding it, but like not fighting for it so much. So yeah, so now it's a more open conversation with my wife because we do go to Florida and Orlando multiple times a year because that is where her family is from. It's where she grew up. Her mother lives there. And it's always for me, there's like a siren. There's like a siren, sweet, sweet sounds of a siren calling me to be like, you're only 30 minutes away. How could you not visit me? And now I'm sort of more like, you know what? We do have a child and he had a great time. How could we not visit, even if it's for a day? I might have to let go of those, for me, I'm nostalgic. So to me, if you don't stay on property, you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
But I might have to let go of that and just be like, you know what? If we get to go to Disney for a day, we're very lucky people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's and that's kind of what marriage, any kind of relationship's about, right? It's compromise and just kind of give and take. But, I feel for you though, because I feel, and I'm seeing it already, right? Because like in my office all day, because I work from home and I have Pluto TV, which is that free app that shows like nostalgic shows all day, like Love Boat or Amazing Race, old episodes, whatever. And Disney's been marketing like commercials on that a lot, Walt Disney World, and they're really starting to sell nostalgia in their commercials. And so I feel for somebody like you that, like wants to go a ton, because I think, with Epic Universe opening and stuff, that Disney's going to be forced to be, all over the media. So you're going to see it they're going to be pushing ad campaigns on social media, on traditional, marketing outlets, on billboards, and, you're going to see it everywhere. And so it's going to be something that those of us that don't get to go to the Disney destinations as often as it's obviously that's what they want us to do. They want us to get there a lot. They want to get everybody to the Disney destinations all the time. And if you can't make it, man, it's going to be really hard because it's going to be everywhere in our face, I think, in the next year or so.
I agree. But now that the Band-Aid's been ripped off and now that my wife got to experience the joy on her son's face, she, I think, is okay with me going without her, while also probably wants to go more as he gets older. Right. Like we've already sort of been, I've already been like, hey, I have another friend that's kind of like me who has kids, like, him. What if we just went on a dad's trip? And she was like, totally fine. It was like,
that's cool. Yeah. Oh, good. You'd have a, because like, I go down and run races with Scott and we have a good time, and 100%. And what I was thinking too is like, go down, if you can, just when it's not hot, like if you could swing a trip, like for Christmas or for, like just like do a, early like flower and garden festival thing for a weekend or something when it's, like late February, early March. Cause totally different dynamic when you're not battling, the 100 degree heat, cause
I want to take her one day too, to like Epcot, and just do Epcot as adults. I remember when I was little, the quick funny story, when I was 17 or I was 17 or 18 years old. And I had a fake ID because I was a little New Yorker who like had a fake ID during those days, right? The only place in the world that took away and cut it in front of me in the world was Pleasure Island. And I remember them taking my ID and they cut it. And my response was, but this is Disney World.
So was it at that caboose, like where you bought the tickets?
Because my fake ID happened to say I was 6'2", which just, it barely worked at that, at that age. Like I didn't know what I was doing, and I'm 5'4".
Oh my God. Oh, Pleasure Island.
Only place they cut it up. But I do remember, like, as I got older, like, it's a great place to also go, like, like with your significant other, especially Epcot, would be a lot of fun with my wife. So I think I can convince her of that one day too. When we visit the grandparents down there.
Well, that is well, Brett. We got to wrap, but man, thanks for making this week just off to an awesome start. And I mean, that was definitely an adventure, and I'm glad that you got to have this experience. And I really, all of our fans are just we're in your corner, man. We hope you get to go a lot more often and make those memories with your family. And you got to come back and let us know after the next trip because we know it's going to happen sooner rather than later. So, Brett, have a great week, and thanks for being a part of our community. And love the stories today.
Thank you. Love what you guys do. I love it all. So thanks so much.
All right. Don't forget our show is always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you get to your favorite Disney destination, even if your significant other goes kicking and screaming. We'll help you with that too. So just let us know just swing by the website over at themagicforless.com. Fill out the free no obligation quote. We'll take it from there. Just check them out today. Again, over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. Anytime you shop online, that really does help us out. And you can become a patron of the show. That's how we take care of all the bills for the video hosting, the audio hosting, the website, all that stuff. It's $5 a month. And for that support, you get a bonus show called Mike in the Midwest every week. And thank you to our patrons who are already there. You guys are our all-stars. Come on over this week. We'd love to have you at patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. Now, if you want to have some fun, we all get together 24/7, 365 in the Be Our Guest Podcast Clubhouse. It's free for everybody. Just swing on by, and it's a live message board, and it's just a ton of fun. So we'll see you over there this week. It's beourguestpodcast.com/clubhouse, and we'll have a live call-in show this Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. Give us a holler. We'll talk Disney with you. Scott will be there with us as well. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. Pick your destination. We'll be live on those sources. And I'll be waiting for your call. So we'll see you on Sunday night as well. All right. So for Brett up in New York, I'm Mike here in Missouri. You guys have a great week. We'll be back with you on Wednesday for more of your listener questions. So until then, you guys stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. Man, that was a good show. That was fun.
Awesome. Thanks. I had a good time. Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Tell your wife I love that she was a good sport about all this.
She really was.
My wife is the same way. Like, I mean, she puts up with a lot. Like right now, I'm sitting here doing a podcast and she's out cutting the grass on a John Deere tractor. So. That's a lot. That's a big ask. My butt should be out there cutting their grass. So I
feel you.
Hey, it's good to meet you, man. I appreciate you so much. If you need anything, give me a hand. All right, take care. All right, bye-bye. Bye. All right, I'll see you guys later. I will see you, the next time, Sunday night, Easter night for the live call-in show. All right, see you guys. Bye-bye.